Hello, welcome to Flower Joos. My name's John McDonald, and today we're going to make a fun little arrangement. And the inspiration for today's video is really this little pot. Now, this has got a cute little face on it. It's quite simple, quite modern. It's really for a plant, but actually plant pots can be a really good opportunity to have a multi-use container. So yes, you can use it for a plant, but why not use it for a flower design as well? So this one is really quite simple. I really like just the crackle glaze and the simple motif on the front. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a mechanic for our design. Now, you can use foam, but foam isn't very environmentally friendly. And the reason for that is it tends to break down into microplastics. So there are other alternatives that we can use. So today I'm going to use this frog, glass frog, just down in the bottom, and some scrunched up wire. Now the reason I'm using the frog is because I don't really have that much wire. And any stems that are going to go right down the bottom are going to be secured by this. This also gives it a little bit of weight as well, which is good. So because this is glass on ceramic, I'm just going to use a little bit of non-slip mat. Pop that in. And that'll just stop it bumping about, which isn't so good. We don't really want to damage our ceramic. And then our little scrunched up wire. This is just creating the framework into which we can put our material. So if I had a little bit more, it could sit up a bit better. But because I've only got this amount, that's why we're using the glass down below. So essentially, when you look in there, we've got a nice structure that we can add our stems to. And that's what really arranging flowers hinges on, is the ability to actually hold those stems. And then the next important thing when making an arrangement is water. So someone asked us in one of our previous videos, why don't you make your arrangement and then add the water? Well, if I'm cutting stems and then putting them into an arrangement, but they're not in a water source, they're going to start to seal over, they're going to start to dry. And that's going to create a problem when you do add water, is that there's already a barrier where it's dried over. So essentially, we want to have the water in there at the beginning. Now, if you find that you're making something and the water is getting a bit dirty or there's bits in it, you can always pour it out and refresh that water. So that's not a problem. Now, our material for today is I've got some really nice dried grasses that I think are quite fun. And we've also got just some simple flowers. So these are some sunflowers, some tulips, and this is Sweet William actually. So we're going to use these as our flowers. But first of all, we want to place our grasses. Now, when you look at a pot like this, we've got a round pot. We could make a round arrangement, we can go tall, but what I thought might be quite fun is going out the way. Now I've had these grasses and I've used some of them before, but I think it could be a little bit fun using them in a different way. So generally you don't tend to put dried material with fresh material, but there's nothing that says that that has to be the case. So we can do whatever we want. So we're really going to create this as a little bit of a framework for our flowers. And I don't want them all just to sit perfectly flat and perfectly forward. I want it to have a little bit of movement where one sits back, one sits forward. But we've got this strong line then across our design. And this is actually a miscanthus grass that came from my garden. But grasses are really popular just now. There's lots of choices and options. So I think this could be really quite fun. Straight away we've got a real dynamic. So taking this, instead of the pot being up and down the way, we've created a contrast by going with this different line. And we can even break down a grass to give us a little bit of shorter pieces for that centre. So this is already quite fun, but I think when we add flowers, it's really going to pop. So the first thing that we're going to add then is our dianthus, which is really this Sweet William. So let's have a little look. I really want to come in to the side. And this is going to give us a bit of bulk. So I'm making sure that I take off any leaves that would be under the water line. And the reason for that is that they will tend to rot, or they'll tend to go off. And that will mean that your water will be bad and your arrangement won't last as well. So when I'm putting in a piece like this at the back, that stem can go all the way down to the bottom, and that glass frog that was down the base is actually able to catch those stems and hold it. So these stems can go down to here, these other ones are really going on a slant. Now, because we've got the sunflowers and they're quite big, I think I'd quite like to place them quite early on. So just, if you're not sure where to place it, just hold it up and see how it looks. You don't necessarily have to cut it until you're sure. And what I want with our sunflowers is to sit quite central and bring that visual weight into the center of the design. So that will make it look more balanced. It's just going to be more natural on the eye when it does that. And we definitely need a little bit of this over to this side. I think this is quite fun already. We've got a real zing with these colours, and our tulips are just going to add in a little bit of form into our design. Now, if you're using foam, you'll find that it's very easy to place flowers. They pretty much sit where you put them. With using wire, it's not a uniform shape, so you just have to kind of give the stems a little bit of a maneuver and move them around a little bit, and you'll find that they'll find their place. So actually, if you are going to use a scrunched wire as a mechanic, I wouldn't overdo it, as in use a huge amount. The more you add, the less opportunity you're giving yourself really to have spaces for the flowers. So realistically, don't go mad and stuff it with wire, because then actually you won't have the space for the flowers. So bring this one out. I really like making things like this when they're fun, because this is the type of thing I would like in my house. So you could make this for yourself, but equally, if you're wanting to give someone a gift of a pot, then why not just buy a few flowers and make them a little fun arrangement as well, and give them both, because once the flowers are finished, they're going to be able to keep the vase, keep the pot, and use it for plant, or maybe make their own arrangement. So the other great thing about this way of working with flowers, with the wire, is that flowers really actually prefer to be in water. They're not really as happy when their the base of their stems are constricted by things. So if they're really, essentially with this, just sitting in water, they cannot be happier, basically. So I've just got a few little bits of this left, and we're not going to waste it. We can actually just bring that in and really block out any bits of the actual mechanic that's showing. So this is really what we would call the finish, is just looking to see that you're happy with the overall look. If you need to change anything or twist anything, now's the time. So like with this stem, if we take out that middle one, we've got a nice line here with this that we can then bring up into an area here. So basically what we're doing is we're creating depth and space. And even just taking that colour down into there is making it have a little bit more depth. Now, if you've got any material like that that is a little bit damaged, then just remove it, because it's never going to actually be happy. So, essentially what we've got is we've got quite a fun design. We've got a real contrast between the fresh flowers and the dried material. We've got a really zingy colour combination. We've got a simple container, but essentially this is a simple arrangement in the sense that it's limited materials. We've just got grasses, tulips, sunflowers, and Sweet William. So the contrasts are quite high, which makes this much more visual and interesting. I think it's fun. I think it's really interesting. Now, the only thing that you need to do is when you're making something like this, just make sure that your face of the container is the right way. You don't want to make something and find that you can't move the arrangement in the container and you've actually been doing it facing the wrong way. But that is it. So we've got a nice arrangement that's going to be really happy in the water. Now, if you're interested in making a similar arrangement, but maybe using a different technique, if you go to this video here, this shows you how we can make an arrangement in a flower pot, but using like a tied bunch technique, so a hand-tied style, which basically holds all your flowers in the way that you want them to sit. And again, it means that they're just in the water and they're going to be quite happy. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. We really appreciate that you watch our videos, and if you've not already subscribed, if you would subscribe, that would be a real help to us. And if you can click like for the video, that's even better as well. So we've got new videos every week. We'd love to see you for our next design, and until then, take care and stay safe.